so there's a few more things we're going to work on this week. One of them is some keyframes. So with keyframes, we can change the state of some objects or movie clips, or there's lots of things we can do with keyframes. So we've used them before, but how do you manipulate them? How do you turn them on, off, go from a keyframe to a blank keyframe? So today we're going to light up this traffic light using these images here. So one thing in Animate that I haven't had you do yet is import files from other Adobe programs. So let's just go with scope 800 by 600 here. So it says HTML5 canvas. So we're still on ActionScript. I don't think we're going to change that before the project, just because we're learning some ActionScript now, and then we'll do HTML5 canvas in web design. So we've got our width, height, frame rate, create. Okay, so thank you. So in this animation, we are going to import. We're going to import to the library. We're going to go find where we saved our. So on the website, I have a Photoshop file for you. So a traffic light. So this, I just I posted this here because this is actually a JPEG image. So this checkered background usually means that it's a transparent background, but in this case someone took a screenshot of an image in Photoshop where the background was transparent, but it's still a JPEG. So if I bring this in, this is still, we'll still see this checkered background in here. If you save it in Photoshop as a PNG, the background, this checkered background, is not visible. So we've learned that in the Spider-Man animation where we had to cut out Spider-Man and Ferdinand as well. So I'm going to go back here. So I'm going to import to the library. I'm going to bring in this traffic light. So you may have worked on something in Photoshop. So here I'm just going to leave like the default settings. Click import. Now, the only thing I'll point out is in Photoshop you can actually separate things into different layers, and then when you import them, you can import them onto separate layers, or you can just import it all together. So when we add these traffic lights in, we can see this here. I'm just going to click here and go fit in window so I can see everything. I'm going to make this background just a sky color, blue sky, just to cover the stage. I'm going to just call this sky background. And lock it, create a new layer. And now I'm going to grab my traffic light, bring that right onto the stage. Now when I click on my free transform tool, I just need to get to one of these corners. Of course this isn't moving. And then I hold down shift, click and drag. If I don't, I could make this like really squished. Might be all screwed up. I want to keep the proportions the same. I don't want to start just, oftentimes I see students just moving things around. They're just like, oh, okay, now I'll just move this here. And there it is. Well, you've just squashed everything. It's not the way that the artist or whoever created this intended. So I'm going to undo. And I go to the corner, hold down shift, and I'll just go here. And I'm just going to fit it right at the bottom so we can't see the pole for the light. The other thing I could do is I could use the arrows on my keyboard and just adjust it left, right, up, or down which is handy to use because then you can get things a little more accurate and in place. So I'm going to put this right here. I'm going to use rule of thirds if you've taken any photography or film. So we divide up the page. This will look a little bit better off to the left or off to the right just slightly than having it straight in the center. So I'm going to make this 5 seconds. I'll click and drag down, press F5 to extend this. Now, the reason why I picked this particular picture is that these lights are all kind of like a dull version of that color. So we want to make this appear as if it's lit up. So we've got our light, and I'm going to lock this, and I'm going to create a new layer. And this is where I'm going to zoom in now. So I just click and drag to get an actual area that I want to zoom in on. If I hold Alt, I can zoom out. Okay, so we'll start with red actually. So I'll go to red. I'm going to grab the oval tool. Good morning. I'm going to grab the oval tool. I'm going to hold down Shift and Alt so I can create a circle from the center. From the center of this light. And right here, this color is still the same color as the sky. So I'm just going to go back to my properties. I'm going to select this. I'm going to pick like a bright red. Okay, if I just Control Enter to check this. Okay, so it looks okay. I've got, I like kind of what it looked like underneath with the gradient there. So what I could do also is I could select this. I could go to my little color panel here. And on this drop down, I could select, I've got linear gradient, radial gradient. So radial is a radius. And if I click on this, now I've got this gradient here where if I click off it, it goes from black to white. Now that's not the color I want, so I'll just select it again. I'll go back here. Now if I want to change this to red, so I just go to, I can click on one of these little arrows, and then I can click to get that red color that I was looking for. So that's this side. And then I can click on this side, and I can choose white. Now if I want to choose white, I can look for it in here. I know that the hex color for white is 6 Fs. I can hit enter. Now, I like the way this looks. I'm just going to click off this, and it looks better. But as you can see here, like the light reflection is kind of off to the right, off to the top right corner. So the other thing I can do with my gradient is I can go underneath the free transform tool. If I click and drag down, or sorry, if I just click and hold down, I've got the gradient transform tool. So the gradient transform tool, I click on that and I can select where I want the gradient to be. So this opens up a whole world of possibility when you're creating your basically your drawings or any of your animations, and you want to use light to make everything look just a little bit better. We can stretch this out. If we grab this, we can rotate it if we want. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller.
Excuse the interruption.
Yep.
Is Pete in class?
He is.
Can he come to the office, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so I'll click off that. Now this looks more of like a realistic kind of lit up object. Now the other thing I could do is I could select this. I could Control C to copy it, and I'm going to make one more of these. Control Shift V. Now there is one underneath. Now the one underneath I can tell because I moved this off to the side. I'm just going to select this. I'm going to press F8. And I'm going to give this kind of like my blur. So I can go to my filters. I can change this to a blur. I can change the visibility of this. I could make the alpha like transparent. I can make it larger. So I don't like the gradient in there anymore, so I'm going to double click on this to get back to here, and I'm just going to select red. I'll go back to scene 1. Okay, so I've got the visibility here. So I'm going to make this larger. This will make sense in a second. And then I've got the blur here. I can make it like look like a glow. Okay, I'll take this back. Control Enter. So now I've got this glow around it. So I'll go to, maybe I'll go to 2 seconds. I'll press, I'll go to 49, so frame 49, because at 2 seconds it's frame 48. And I'm just going to press F7. So that'll turn off that keyframe there. So I'm going to call this one red light. I'm going to create 2 new layers. I'm going to make the yellow and the green light. And then I'm just going to pause this screen capture right at the moment. Just so I can finish that. Okay, so I've created another 2 layers, green light and yellow light, and right above this blank keyframe, I'm going to press F7 to just have a space holder here. I'm going to go back to the red one, and I'm actually going to Control C to copy. I'm going to go to the green layer, Control V to paste. I'm going to move this here, and I'm just going to double click on this, and I'm going to change this one to green. I'm going to move this out of the way. And I'll make this one, undo. I'll go up here to the gradient and I'll change this to green. Sorry, I'll make this one active. There we go. Okay, so I could right click. I could also arrange these. I could send it back. So then I can see more of maybe the gradient there, that reflection. So I'm going to do this for yellow as well. I'm going to pause the video. Okay, I realized when I copied the red, the 2 red lights there, that one was a movie clip, so when I changed it to a different color, it was changing it in the other one. So I just made a green blur and a yellow blur as well. So we've got all of these happening in the same time frame. This would not be good if you were driving and all the lights went on at the same time. So I'm going to select, hold down Shift, and just slide this down. Now at 4 seconds, this is going to change. So I'm going to press F7 to turn this light off. For yellow, I'm going to do the same thing.